Howdy, all you delicious people. I'm here today to do another review of The Masked Singer Season 3. At the end of the day, I could really just kind of just say I think the people that were in this episode, um, I think rightfully so. Like, I think the characters that are kind of in this episode were kind of ones that are eventually probably just gonna get eliminated for most of the point. Looking at it, it seems like most of these characters are just kind of like they're kind of one trick ponies. They can only do certain kind of aspects of certain kind of like they can't overall like completely change their tone and completely change their tune and completely do much more than just kind of a one trick thing. Looking at it, the banana had gone home tonight. So, rightfully so, after I let you know how I felt about some of the performances, who I thought they were, and then at the end of the day, we're going to showcase who the banana actually was. Yeah. I'm going to give you a double five timed um, event, and then we're going to go right into who Banana was. Anyways, so starting out the show, here's one thing. I really miss like the clue packages. I really miss those instead of literally packages of clues where it's the luggage thing. I just don't care for that. That's a new thing. Yeah, I'm sure it might be intriguing for somebody, but at the end of the day, I could just say it's just kind of a very boring, well, not boring. Just a very like silly thing to just put into the show. I much rather like a clue packages because it seems like a lot of times when the costume people kind of say things, like I think it's much better to do that than anything else. But I think I think they're trying to go with this luggage thing because I think they are trying to do that instead because I think in the heads of the people that do the show, um, they're talking about several channels or whatever that are picking up on like doing voice adjusting, voice changing, and then hearing, oh my god, yeah, that's so and so celebrity, clearly, because I voice changed or whatever this person. I'm like, yeah, so they did that. So what? Who? Why go and change and just continue to do this stupid luggage thing? Um, it's dumb. It's just stupid. But anyways, you have, of course, um, the frog who had gone up first, and he evidently went up against the kitty. Recently, the frog did a Pitbull song, and I'm like, yeah, the frog is never actually going to sing anything but rap because he evidently just can't sing. So he has to rap every single episode. So again, I am still cementing that it's Bow Wow as the frog because ultimately I'm not getting any more much clues in. I guess the keyboard thing could kind of maybe give me the clue that again he was in CSI Cyber. Other than that, I couldn't get much clues from his luggage package, which I don't really like those clues anyways. The kitty. The kitty, I'm assuming, is probably still Keira Knightley or quite possibly Nicole Richie. It seemed like for the guessing of Kitty, it seems like the people were actually thinking this time around of who this person actually was. And bravo to the judges for that. Actually thinking for once of who this person could actually be. Because it seemed like the frog was not really like well thought out. It was just kind of like, yeah, it might be so and so random person that wouldn't justifiably be on the show, but good for them for trying. It seems like the kitty was kind of really being narrowed down to actually uh, justifiable things of which we could assume could be kitty. At the end of the day, actually, Ken was actually guessing pretty accurate for an episode. It was amazing. It was brilliant. At the end of the day, I could probably say every single one of those guesses that they probably actually guessed this week for the kitty seems much more accurate. Anyways, um, one thing that I want to go on speaking about accurate. Before I go on to talking about the last two characters, one thing that I could accurately say is I guess we can assess now, especially with that what was it called? After the Masked Singer or whatever that silly show is, like the Talking Dead after the Walking Dead, how they have like the after show. I guess you could really cement with that after show that this show is not taped live. Or even like these shows are actually taped ahead of time. Clearly. So clearly these shows are taped ahead of time, like really looking at it. If you're looking at a taped show and reasonably at portions of time before, I could have made this assessment a lot earlier, but really looking at it now, man, these shows are taped way ahead of time. And looking at it, because ultimately looking at the after show, which the after show, you have the person who was unmasked at as the Badana at his home. You have judges that were in their apartments or their homes or whatever. Um, yeah, you have, um, I guess, Nick Cannon giving the illusion like he just came off of the show, but yeah, you can only fake it so far until you can make it. So, anyways, it's like, man, before you could kind of give the illusion that this show was really going on, um, but now you can really tell that these shows were taped beforehand. Maybe not the after show, but pretty dang close. Um, like I'm sure probably the people knew, probably maybe even knew if they were going home when they were going home. Because looking at it, there are times when a reality show is said to already pick a winner before the show even starts. Ultimately, you could say it's like, well, but judge's decision. Well, yeah, but show's decision. Like, there's an audience within the show. Yeah, I also kind of break that down as well as, isn't it weird that White Tiger was ultimately um was voted off the show right around the time that he was going into being in the WWE, Rob Gronkowski. Seems like a weird time for him to have been voted off the Masked Singer right on time with him going into WrestleMania and stuff like that. Was he written off the show? Um, because realistically, so that way he could do WrestleMania and not have to had been or had um the freedom of not being worried about people spilling that he was on the Masked Singer or whatever, or that or Rob Gronkowski spilling that he was on the Masked Singer. Who knows? Um, yeah. Anyways, so looking at it, the Rhino. The Rhino I had said was Barry Zito from the San Francisco Giants. I think at the end of the day, it seems like it tends to continue to allude back that the Rhino could be an athlete. But also looking at it, I would assume or assess that the Rhino could be Tim McGraw, or maybe Jason Aldean, or some other kind of clues that would kind of relate to any of the persons that I've said in past. But I don't know, the Rhino is kind of very aloof for me, but at the end of the day, I can be pretty fine with getting a person wrong every once in a while, if you know what I mean. Jelly Bean. So, leaving last, but sadly left, Banana. Banana, I just assessed for the longest time as Bret Michaels. I had said probably Bill Engvall at a while, at one time, because ultimately I had heard Bill stand up and stuff like that, and maybe it kind of made the drastic assumption that maybe he wanted to give singing a try. I don't know why, but looking all full and well, I always assessed it was kind of Bret Michaels. That's the only thing I can come up with. Plus, I've seen him live a lot of times. I've seen him in concerts a lot of times. Maybe not actually going to the concerts, but I've seen him like doing Poison concerts a lot, or just performing on some kind of show somewhere. So I dare say that's kind of what I voted for. But yeah, so evidently on the after show, we had costumes being presented of the Masked Singers, which were weird. I don't know why they did that. Also looking at it, it was a very odd after show. Like, it would have been interesting to see if, like, I don't know why they just bizarrely just started to begin this after show. Seemed like a weird thing to try to do during a time when you couldn't physically be able to get said stars or whatever on the actual show. Honestly, yeah, I think the after show kind of to the point made the actual show kind of like, well, F it, I don't need to watch the actual show. I can just watch it again an hour later. Because reasonably, they told you who had gone unmasked. They basically gave you highlights of the episode. And then on top of that, they just kind of like also kind of did like this top 10 list of like best like performances and whatever. It was basically just like the entire show but like milked down in, and then interviews and stuff like that, and how like certain celebrities or certain kind of people who had passed got eliminated came onto the show and started talking. It just ultimately was just, I did not like that at all. It was just kind of like, man, I'm sure after the first time people see what this show is, no one's gonna watch it afterwards. I think since Fox had done the WWE backstage thing, which ultimately is down in the toilet right now, because justifiably, because it's WWE. This after show is gonna be the same thing. Or it's just gonna give people the excuse to not watch the actual show. Just come back to the after. Just watch the after show. Who cares about the actual show? So, yeah. So that's how I felt about this episode. If anything, I kind of ragged on the after show because it was stupid. There needs to actually be an actual point to an after show. If basically the after show is to just show what the show was, why not just show the show twice? Hey guys, if you missed it, it's cool. We're going to show it again as a rerun right after the show is done. That's what I thought. So, those were the 4 that performed tonight. If anything, I'm kind of tired of Kitty kind of just doing power ballads every single time that she goes up there. I'm like, of course she's going to do another power ballad. Then again, like, Frog, all he does is rap. Rhino, all he does is country songs. And then, like, most of the time, it seems like Banana only did, like, inspirational things. Or kind of simple songs that he can sing to, because at the end of the day, why not go out of your way to get simple songs and sing those? Because he couldn't sing, he couldn't exactly go out of his way to sing his own songs. So, yeah. Anyways, so let's go and unveil who ultimately the banana was. Just because this was like another one of those short shows, and per every week, it's just gonna be like, okay, we're gonna just plop 4 out there and eliminate somebody, and put another 4 out there and eliminate somebody, to the point where there are very few left. So, anyways, I think it's about that time again. Because every week now it's basically like reviewing. There's not much to really bring to the table anymore. It's just kind of like it's either like these are right or they're wrong. Um, Sharon Osbourne was really a very funny addition to this week. Looking at it, Ken was like was trying to sound like Sharon, but didn't really sound all that right. But um, evidently Sharon Osbourne's daughter really liked it, Kelly Osbourne. I don't know, but anyways, I think it's about that time again for me to spoil the show. Say who was behind the mask of the banana at the end of the day. Let's show who the banana actually was. Right now, if you don't want to know who the banana is, click off now. But if you already, yeah, if probably watch this show recapping back on Hulu. So, let's spoil this for you. Who was the banana? It was Bret Michaels, rock and roll superstar and TV personality. It was kind of pretty much easy and unanimous that all the judges were all saying that it was Bret Michaels. I said that it was Bret Michaels since day 0. Since pretty much day 1, since I heard the banana, saw him perform, I'm like, Bret Michaels. It's kind of a no-brainer. There's some times where some people perform on this show or start singing on the show, and immediately I'm just like, of course, that's Chris Daughtry, that's Bret Michaels, that's who are the other ones? Lil Wayne. Immediately I was like, that's Lil Wayne. Surefire enough, all those people were right. And I can't say that I'm a person that knows a ton about music, but without a doubt, it's kind of easy to pick out some of these people if you've ever heard any of their music before. Um, or if you're just kind of like, because there's some people where it takes a while. Um, because either one, they've never sung in their life before, there's no YouTube video of them singing somewhere, or dare say, um, this person doesn't have a recognizable voice, but Bret Michaels does. Bret Michaels has a recognizable voice, and he has a recognizable performance. To the point where even Sharon recognizes that, like, done some things that Bret Michaels tends to do. So, anyways, yeah, Bret Michaels was the banana. Ultimately, at the end of the day, at the after show, like, he was just kind of mentioning that he's like, that he was kind of very relieved that he was able to, like, talk to people about the performance, and like talked about like how, like, I'm sure uncomfortable it was, or how he couldn't really see anything, or how ultimately he was just kind of like hoping to try to do the best he can, um, with all the limitations that I'm sure that costume provided. Looking at it, yeah, it was just kind of like Ken and Joel McHale were kind of like picking through who they thought maybe some of the costume characters were. Like, well, Joel McHale was. Um, Brett was just kind of like talking about some of like his favorite performances on the show. Um, and then eventually, at the very end of this thing here is kind of like the funniest thing at the very end of the after show. He, like, they just had Bret Michaels sing "Every Rose Has Its Thorn," which kind of his go-to song. Um, I guess it's just kind of one of those where it's like, hey, let's try to sell. Like, we have some time. How about we have Bret Michaels sing "Every Rose Has Its Thorn"? It's like, I'm sure get some iTunes hits that way. Um, yeah, it's just, it was kind of funny how like Bret Michaels was like reading off the tweets, and like I thought it was very like comical how like they were mentioning that, like, hey, whoever the banana is, I'm attracted to him, or I'm this or that, and it's like, did they test screen these tweets before having them read it, or I don't know. They probably had to, but I don't know. I think that there could have been more effective tweets to for him to answer to. Um, like, what was the, like, who was his favorite? Who was his favorite mass singer besides himself? Because maybe he thought he was really good or whatever. Not of this season, of any season. Maybe he, because I believe he watched a lot of the other seasons, hence why he was interested in doing this season. Um, but yeah, like ultimately, it was just kind of like, well, uh, ultimately, a lot of people would just be like thinking, Rockstar, why would he be banana? Why not? Anyways, so yeah, it's like Bret Michaels, the banana. So I guess we can go into a seasonal recap at this point. We'll just go into 5 count to a seasonal recap. Yeah. So reasonably, with that said, and with that also being said that I had gotten Bret Michaels completely correct without the benefit of the internet, recently, with that assumption since day one that Bret Michaels was the banana, another win under my belt. And at the end of the day, these wins are stacking up. They're just stacking. They're just piling. They're just piling it up. At the end of the day, I can just say that I'm probably just gonna win the rest of the season. So that's a good thing to, I guess, boast about at this point. Not really. Um, but yeah, but there's so many costumes still to get unmasked. At the end of the day, I don't know if they have completely already pre-taped all the way to the finale. It would be kind of interesting to see a masked singer that was quarantined, or CV edition of the Masked Singer. It would be different. It'd be interesting to see how they would figure out how to send somebody home. Um, I think that'd be interesting, but then ultimately, it's just that won't happen because I think they've already pre-taped all the way to the finale. Um, I think once this stuff started to happen, I think they already pre-taped a lot of episodes, but I think they probably pre-taped even more to just kind of finish up this season because this show has a huge concern about reasonably uh, having been out there because a lot of times there's some either holiday, excuse me, there's either some holiday or some sport or some something where it conflicts with the Masked Singer going out. So without a doubt, I think it's just I think them pre taping a lot of stuff is probably the best idea. To be brutally honest, even though I think it sucks that it's pre taped, at the end of the day, I could just say that it's like, well, they're guaranteeing you that these episodes are going to go out. Instead of saying, oh yeah, well, a holiday, we can't do this, or oh, baseball, we can't do this, or football, and you can't even do that now. So definitely, this show will not be interrupted by any sports whatsoever. But yeah, anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. Goodbye, everybody. Bye, everybody.